Good evening, everyone. I, Dr. Tina Mbora, Assistant Professor, Delhi Metropolitan Education, welcome you all to the second episode of the Vibrant India series. Vibrant India series is an initiative of DME Media School for celebrating 75 years of India's independence. As part of the series, we invite inspiring personalities for online talk, interview, and interaction with students. This series will be a year-long exercise. The personalities chosen for this series will be from all walks of life and from all parts of the country. Our guest for today is Ms. Bhavreen Kandhari, an environmentalist.
Hello.
Delhi Metropolitan Education is an Indraprasth University, New Delhi, and approved by the Bar Council of India. The institute offers BBA, BA LLB, and BBA LLB with BCI approval and BAGMC courses. DME believes in imparting world-class education to its students while training them to develop and enhance their skills. This education and training enables them in taking up challenges of the industry and creating a space for themselves with their competence and vigor. DME Media School is one of the most promising media institutes in the country. It offers BA in journalism and mass communication. It is recognized as a school focused on the growth of its faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. Major flagship events and initiatives of the school include BG Burgess Lecture Series, Peer-to-Peer FDP, International Film Festival SIFI, International Conference ICANN, and Mega Media Fest Ritika. I now request Abhishek Mishra, student of DME Media School, to introduce our guest for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Bhavreen Kandhari is an environmentalist who heads several public movements in India to bring desperate attention and call for action on environmental justice issues. She has facilitated #MyRightToBreathe, #DelhiTreesSOS, #Friday for Future India, and #Extinction Rebellion India. And recently, #Warrior Moms, with mothers all over the country fighting air pollution. Her work amplifies the digital presence of the common man's voice against air pollution, waste management, and environmental negligence in India. She supports civil society groups, subject experts, professionals, and youth to bring awareness and urgency for climate through mass mobilization. Ma'am is actively involved with the UN since she was 19 years old and has been a part of many climate action conferences. In the last year, she attended C40 Summit in Copenhagen, a forum where the city leaders and mayors from all over the world share ideas on green urban development and on the ways to get national governments to act on climate issues. From pushing the government to notify the National Clean Air Program to now the Air Ordinance and bringing air pollution as a common man's everyday conversation, it has been a long journey. Let us look at some glimpses of her life.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. It is indeed an honor to host you. I now request Dr. Susmita Bala, Head DME Media School, to welcome our guest.
Thank you, Tinam. Welcome everybody in the second episode of Vibrant India series. We launched this digital program on August 9 on the anniversary of Quit India movement. Vibrant India series is a tribute to all those people who made supreme sacrifices for the independence of our motherland. India will be completing 75 years of independence next year. We have started celebrations this year only. This program has been launched as a part of these celebrations. In the first episode of Vibrant India series, our guest was Brigadier P.K. Saxena, who served the country as a soldier, protecting the country on its borders. In the making of this country, we all plays our roles as doctors, engineers, educators, also as a human right activist and environment activist. So today in this second episode, we have invited an environment activist, Ms. Bhavreen Kandhari. She is one who has been fighting to keep our lungs clean. I welcome you, ma'am, in this program.
Thank you so much, Teenamji. Thank you, Dr. Saxena. Thank you, lovely Abhishek. So sweet. That's so touching to see this kind of. We are just very, very ordinary citizens who are just, of course, like you said, yeah, striving to clean air. And and I congratulate all of you for a lovely, wonderful institute. I was reading about it, and of course, the university that you're affiliated is extremely close to my heart. I'm a Sikh, and I firmly, of course, know whatever I've learned since my childhood of Guru Gobind Singh Ji's values. Even if we achieve, 1/4 of that in our children, I think we are blessed. So I appreciate, and I feel honored absolutely to be a part of these celebrations for the 275th year of independence. I usually never prepare anything. I will, and Dr. Saxena was saying, so I'm used to not preparing anything because I don't have to. It just comes from my heart. A very, ordinary citizen, brought up. My father's an Air Force officer. We grew up, changing cities, and how you, 4G style. You said Mr. Saxena was here, he would have told you how we are used to being in different cities. And so in my childhood, we were in, better cities than this polluted state that we're living in Delhi, from Dehradun and coming from there. So, since childhood, we were observing that there was a forest, there's a huge amount of, land that was available. But as years were going by, and you saw the transition coming into Delhi, and about the years 1995, and then I also have to appreciate that the mass communication is very close to my heart, because that was my post-graduation studies. I post-graduated in mass comm in advertising, PR though, not journalism. But in those years, there was only IINC and there was Jamia Research Center, and we never had these wonderful institutes. And they were said, "Ye kya subject hota hai?" Why you'd like, nobody would even want to know, feel like you're doing nothing. So, but I was very clear since my whole graduation that I wanted to specialize, and I appreciate that all the work that I'm doing today is a lot to do with these subjects that they're helping me and aiding me. So I must say that to the students, you are in a very, very good courses and a good institute. And so anyway, coming back to environmentalism, by 1995, 97, it was just a small amount of people. Those years in London, they were fighting the smog. And if you were, obviously, because it was of my interest and I was reading about it, but not many people knew about it. But those kind of situations we were seeing in Delhi and in India, but nobody was talking about it. And to the point that I recently found something on India Today that in about 1999 was somebody sent me an old clip where a politician is really making fun of me, saying, "Aap log ke paas kuch karne ke liye nahi hai. आपके पास पानी गंदा है, खाना गंदा है, तो जबरदस्ती हवा गंदी है." I mean, no one would believe. There was no terms called AQI. Nobody knew what this pollution board is. So it was like a struggle. Now, who's going to listen to me? After all, I'm a citizen. I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. So then, this slowly we started joining hands. I mean, it was not only, I can't say it was me. I mean, there was this small little movements going on, or some doctors. There was Dr. Arvind Kumar of Lung Care Foundation, somewhere Dr. Gularia was there. There were doctors who were talking about air pollution. And so we started. Then 2003, I had my twin girls. They were born. And then the panic began, because so far it was work and just something that we were seeing and investigating. But now I realized that, oh my God, this is serious business, because the cold and the coughs wouldn't go. all year round. You're giving them medications. The elders will say allergy hai, kuch nahi hai, theek ho jayega. What is allergy? I mean, it's more than that. So then began the war. It's a long battle, and anyway, so coming to that, so now I always feel inspired rather by the students and the youth, because one, that they are the only ones who actually listen, because my generation has done the maximum damage. My mother and grandmother will still carry a thela. My father will still write on the last piece of paper and 10 times and throw it, and only then he'll throw. We don't have that. We were the internet generation who got too much happening, and we just used, traveled, so we bought and bought. There was no end of consumerism. But unfortunately, because of our habits and it's really not to do with us. I mean, as in me and as in our generation and the governments, the policymakers, because they did not care for this, that now the youth now is in a mess, because they have a terrible, terrible future. And it's like, we need to kind of course, there's a lot now over the media and the Google, etc. That's very easy for the kids to understand that, but the situation is very, very grim. And so that's the reason that we really are working from the ground, whether it was saving trees at Sarojini Nagar, or whether it was Central Vista. I mean, recently I'm naming these recent ones, but the old ones will talk. There's so much happening now as I speak. Of course, we're in the most polluted capital of the world, and there are many, many more cities in the country which top the most polluted cities of the world. So there is a certain, panic situation that needed to be there. Now, what happens is that, the mistake that we do is that we take the onus on ourselves. It's not about, this is especially for all the students who are going to hear me, that, the onus is not on the citizens. Of course, we must have good habits. We must, conserve. We must plant trees, or we must, reduce the use of water. All that is fine. We have to do that. But the onus lies with the government and the policymakers. And that is what I fight for. I mean, that is what our aim should be. So I'm not saying fight as in always criticize them, because somebody like me is non-political. We do not care. And a lot of other citizens, they don't care which party and what. It's about right or wrong. So if I can plant trees, I can plant 10 trees in a year and look after them and even bring them up. But if they cut 20,000 trees together for a metro, I have no, business to say that, oh, I planted, because it didn't help, because you cut fully grown trees. Similarly, it's about waste management. See, air connects everything. Air connects to the trees, air connects to the waste management, air connects to the thermal power plants. I mean, for me to drive my car less doesn't make sense, because your thermal power plant is violating all the laws, and it's damaging like crazy. Your waste to energy plant here in Okhla, if all of you know, it's just in fact opposite the Jamia. It's next to Apollo Hospital. It's next to Sarita Vihar, New Friends Colony. So imagine the children who are living there. There are hundreds of children living on the Bhalasava landfill. So they actually live there 24/7. They're breathing this horrible air that we are breathing, and plus carbon monoxide and methane. So we have to understand that stepping back in those 2 or 3 steps is not going to make the difference, because then that's how they kind of make a trap for us. So in fact, recently, what Abhishek mentioned about warrior moms, and as mothers, that we are all in, like I said, in a panic mode and trying to work together. So what we've done is, now what the problem is that no matter where you go, which universities, you're highly professional. I have people around, doctors and engineers and highly professional people that we move around with it. But unfortunately, it's not civic sense is the wrong term I'm using. It's not civic sense, but like sense of civics is so poor that you do not know कि ये सड़क किसने बनाई, वो PWD बनाता है, या ये पाइप टूटी तो ये किसका है, या SDMC कहाँ है, उसका jurisdiction क्या है. जब पता ही नहीं है तो आप कंप्लेंट कैसे करोगे? और complain नहीं करोगे और सिर्फ WhatsApp पे लिखोगे, so this got no point. So and like I'm sure these the young kids here like Abhishek who have gone to recently come from schools, in a few years back. If you remember the 8th grade and 7th grade, you learn how to write letters, but they make you do mock letters, which really have no meaning, because you must know how to write to your legislators, demand action. That's what is the most critical point right now. So as Warrior Moms, coming back to that we've now formulated whole like a package of SOPs, standard operating procedures. Like you see a tree being cut. Now many people want to save it, but some people will find some Bhavreen somewhere and call up, yahan ped kat raha hai, please help karaiye. But it's not possible all the time. So you should know step by step what to do. What to do means complaints. Who to call, where to complain. Because if you have a complaint and the action is not taken, then legal action can be taken. So further, they become accountable. But if you just write on a group or just talk to somebody and just let it be, then we're in a damage. I mean, a similar situation like this that koi oxygen ke kami se nahi mara. Wo isliye nahi mara kyunki complaints nahi hai. We should have 1 million complaints today. If we had 1 million complaints, we could have, there is action. So these are things, and it's all in every country. It's not about India. It's important that these first steps have to come in place. Say you see waste being burnt, somewhere, and kura bahut jagah jalta hai, and it's a disaster for our AQI. It's very, very dangerous. And right now we are in a bad situation. When my daughters are now 17, when they were 8, because tum दूसरों के बच्चों के लिए सब नहीं कर सकते, I did an X-ray, got an X-ray done, to see the lungs, the situation of lungs. They were absolutely black. So those years, I mean, when they were 8 years ago. So imagine now, in this time, I think a 4 to 5 year old child, their lungs are damaged. And this is absolutely irreversible damage, which I've said many times, and I've also learned from many, elite doctors. It's irreversible damage because इसका कोई इलाज नहीं है, पूरे दुनिया में आप कहीं पर भी जाएंगे saying, okay, I have millions and I'll be able to change my child's lungs. It's not going to happen because it doesn't. And now air pollution is not only about lungs, it's about every organ of your body. So what is the point of this youth bechare pad rahe hain, likh rahe hain, looking at the future, and when they don't have any future because they're going to be suffering of God knows what kind of diseases. So it's very important now that year after year, as you see, we are just debating and we are blaming each other on the national media, and the governments are not taking enough action. So it becomes important for us to step in and ask for action and demand it. And that comes only with, like I said, make the complaint. So we are, these kind of little things to empower citizens. Okay, ek SOP hai, aap usko padhiye, usko sikhiye, and then make this thing. You can tag us, and there are many, many people who will come forward and support. So action will have to be there. It cannot be done on the internet. As much as social media is very important, but social media is not the only way that you can save. There were kids who climbed the Sarodni Nagar trees, for so many days they were on the trees, so they couldn't cut it. That's how, of course, now they're doing the same thing, but those days they were cutting 16,500 trees, but after the cases were taken, then it became to 3,000 trees. So those at least 13,000 trees were saved because people came out and, tried their best. So I firmly believe, that action is what is needed. We are in a terrible, terrible, terrible emergency and situation, and we cannot afford to, make more mistakes. We've been talking internationally also of the just recovery. Just recovery is that we like anything for that climate change or climate crisis is taken care of. Here we're talking of pollution, but it's a lot different. I will not get into that between pollution and climate change. So that will happen only if we as in the governments and the policymakers will prioritize people's health and the planet. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. The choices that we make today will shape our, economy, society, health, climate, everything for the decades to come and their future. So, considering that the youth is all here, that the youngsters are here, they must take action. I can take this opportunity to share a lot of information on a regular basis with Dr. Saxena can put me in with some students, and I can keep sharing. So at least the least you can do is share with others and become champions yourself. And we are somebody like me is not an organization. We are only people. So people will only help people, citizens, and then only we will come at some some solution. Otherwise, as the IPCC report also just came, it's day before yesterday, and so we are in a very, very bad state. It's not like we didn't know, but it's another jolt. So if we will not demand action, we are going to be, somebody forwarded me there is I don't watch so much. I don't get so much time to watch it. There's something on Netflix. There's an episode, some kind of a serial called Laila or something. There was a documentary and a trailer. They sent me a trailer. It's a serial episode, and it was shocking. I mean, to see that what we are talking about, a dystopic world. That's exactly what it is. There is no water. There are riots happening. There is a rain which is black in color. This is all there. We are right there. These are not things like we used to say कि होगा ये होना शुरू हो गया. We thought something the pandemic is going to happen to these kids. We will not be able to see it. My generation will not see it. But we saw that as well. And now when 30 years later, if this repeats, they are going to be inside the homes in a lockdown without food, without air, clean air, and without water. So you can imagine the hell that we are leaving for our children. Even if this can't move people, then there's nothing that can move. And it's a fact. This is all science, and it's been said, रोज आपको up to internet के करके सब कुछ हम देख रहे हैं, इतना कुछ हो रहा है, glaciers melt हो रहे हैं, all those things, without getting into the technical details of it, it's so boring. But I want all the youth to come forward and participate in every way. Don't fall into the trap of only do good stuff, because we want to learn good habits. We want to plant trees. We've always done it. We want to segregate our waste. But yes, if your corporations are not taking your segregated waste till the end, or they're burning it, then you question them, take them to task. Imagine if right now there's Bhavreen and maybe 50 more people in the whole city. Imagine if we have 5 million people doing this in the city. They will change. They will have to change. So that's my take, and I'm very happy to interact and speak to the students.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, now I would like to welcome Dr. Amrit Saxena, Dean, DME Media School, to interact with our guest and further carry forward the session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Mrs. Bhavreen. We were waiting for long to listen to you because if I can tell you about DME Media School, there are a number of media schools in the city and all over the country. And since you have already done your this graduation or post-graduation in mass communication, so you will understand this, that I mean, whatever is taught in the class, we always try to do beyond that. I mean, I can't tell you this, where do we stand ranking wise and all. I'm not into that. I always believe, and my team members always believe, to do something which is really substantial, which is really for a good cause. And we believe in doing the things rather than talking about the things, as you are also of the same viewpoint. And I never believe to confine everything within the classroom. So students do a lot of things, so whichever way we can. During the lockdown and this pandemic, we are having all such kind of lectures. Earlier also, we have been having many such lectures, be it on the environment, be it on human rights, be it on, I mean, any such issue which affect us all. And as you said, we also believe, we all teachers believe in DME Media School, that only the students can take care of the future of this country. So if they are sensitized properly, they are made aware on the issues which really matter, then obviously we can think of a bright future. And so that is how we invited you for this talk. So to begin with, I have certain questions, and to initiate that interaction, I will be putting up those questions. At the same time, I'm also getting questions from the students, which I will be taking up subsequently. But my primary question to you is, whatever conditions are there in India as far as the environmental issues are concerned, and if we look at this whole thing in the global perspective, and we find then almost every country in the world is affected, be it the developed world, be it the developing countries. So if you can tell us where actually India stands in the committee of nations as far as this environmental problems are concerned.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Saxena. Obviously, I am very sure that there's a lot happening, and it's the fact that you have reached out to me is itself shows that environment is top on the list. Number 2, I feel happy and proud that I'm here. So, as far as carbon footprint is concerned, yes, as you know, the Western countries are the bigger culprits there, and but we have like I repeated again and again, that we have a bigger invisible killer here, which is the air pollution. And somewhere along the line, it does connect to climate change and the climate crisis. But without putting that there too, we have to basically, in the international in the international forums of, we are very used to now hearing our, PM, etc., speaking on climate change and speaking about, taking these words. But the seriousness is not there, as you know. A lot of work is happening. You cannot say not happening, though, of course, Ujjwala came in, we were talking clean energy, but it went. Now it comes back in another phase. Now we're not even talking about the failures of the first one. Now we have 41 coal blocks that have been, brought in this year. So obviously we're talking clean energy, but we are, coal will not help in that. So I mean, the biodiversity, as you know, I mean, the kids will know, the students will know so much more. As so many, there is no state right now which is destroying forests for mining. So obviously you are in the name of development and in the name of mining, you're killing biodiversity. That's the only hope right now. So you cannot bring in Miyawaki or some technique instead of forest. It's not going to work. The seriousness has to come, that intent has to be there, and at least I really thought that, this COVID is going to be a wake-up call for everyone, but it didn't happen. We didn't see that change. So the forest laws are being liquidated so that it's easier. The other EIA, the environment impact assessment is being being loosened so that it's easier to get permissions to cut trees and make these development projects. So obviously, as you see, the intent is not there, and this is going to be disastrous. So at the same time, when you see, of course, there are problems in these other Western countries, but then you see Greenland, and you see New Zealand, you see Paris. Now Paris is right now deconcretizing the city and making them into parks and trees. And here we are concretizing the Central Vista, the areas that we've grown up in, played. So and in such heat, I mean, there's an easy 5-degree temperature difference in a concretized area and a lawn. So in the name of metro, in the name of Central Vistas, in the name of different kind of constructions, we are just concretizing the city, which is a disaster, only because concretization is more money. Doesn't mean that we're going to kill the future, that's going to happen. So you see that, the intent here is not, the Copenhagen has now made this beautiful, we can't compare city to city, but just to give it a thought that the intent is there. And of course, that is an exceptionally good city with a very less population. So I can't compare to Delhi, but they made these overhead bridges for cycling, only cycling, So, अब यहाँ पर cycling lanes की बात भी कर रहे हैं, उससे भी डर लगता है because they're going to cut trees. To make a cycling lane, if you're cutting a tree, I don't know what to fight for, because you get caught in these situations that, then you're challenging that. So as citizens, it's very difficult to keep, fighting everything. So, we don't see the intent, at least I don't see the intent here as much as the internationally there is. But the carbon footprint, like America and all, will have to wake up to consumerism and the waste and, all those kind of issues.
So you talked about that there is no intent, but at the same time, we find all the governments, whether this government or the earlier government, they have been bringing number of laws. The parliament has been passing number of laws, whether it's about cutting trees or other things. And then there are a lot of policies which are made. So if laws have been enacted, if policies are being made, then how can you say that there is no intent on the part of the government?
The intent is, I'm talking about the policies, but you're saying there are a lot of laws, but look at the implementation is zero. So the enforcement is not there. We have wonderful laws, as you've said. I really believe in that. We have great laws. The Green Tribunal also gave laws. And we have very good laws in place. For example, now the Diwali, you can see the green cracker. That was absolutely a nonsensical concept. Everything that burns up, patte, which is the most natural, the leaves is the most natural thing that when you burn it, there's a CPCB 5,000 rupee fine aapko lagega. 1 minute mein they will fine you. But you're allowing some chemicals to burn, so it's first that doesn't make sense, what is happening, the concept. And then also you saw the Diwali nights and all the other occasions, not Diwali, New Year's, Gurpurab, how much crackers are being burnt, but there was so much violation and there was no action on it. So that is, like I said, the waste management, again, there are 2016 bylaws. From 2016, they were supposed to be implemented. Today is 2021. Hum aaj tak do sukha aur gila kuda bhi nahi segregate kara rahe because there is no implementation of the law. If do you think that if in my locality, if they will come 3 days and fine me 200 rupees each day, which is the, like SDMC can fine you 200 rupees a day for a residence and 10,000 rupees for a institute. मैं 3 दिन में 200 रुपए दे दूंगी ना, चौथे दिन मेरे को ना नहीं याद आ जाएगा, I will do it. But they don't make it happen. So that is where we lose out. They don't, they say things, but it's not being done. Now, I'll give an example of the motor vehicle policy now. See, I'm sure if you've been in Delhi for many years, we've seen no one stops on the red light. We were covering the zebra crossings, and suddenly that's changed. I mean, I'm not driving beyond 50. I get challans every day. I get challans, because of the cameras and it's catching so well. Humne sabne seekh liya. I mean, people it's so funny. I want to actually get off and take pictures of itni dur khade hote hain zebra crossing se, because I think even if you cross 1 inch, the camera catches it and you get a challan. So people have learned that now you'll get it. So they were able to implement now. It's up to them, if they want to do it, they will do it. The laws are there. We are citizens, we can't ask them to change laws or bring in new laws. Wo to hua, abhi bhi that the air commission that's been formed is an ordinance that one of, we did it together, for a child. I made one of the child who's suffering asthma, took this to the court, and the new ordinance was passed and all. But again, it's just another name.
Yeah. So you said that there has to be some form of punitive action if the government wants the enforcement. So do you feel this is the way to enforce something, or this is the way wherein we can put the things under check? Or do you feel that creating awareness and making the people more vigilant will be a better choice?
No, that era is gone, sir. There is too much awareness everywhere. The click of the button there is, and awareness will mean that they will spend on huge flex banners with their pictures. We don't need all that. It's gone. There is enough awareness. Everybody knows this. But now it's time for danda. That's it. Only this. Of course, and I always say that find the rich, the elite, and incentivize the poor. So like, I live here in Defense Colony and opposite this Kotla. So unko aap mat kariye na, don't find them, give them incentives, give them star programs, give them, discounts on train tickets, or you could, maybe give them some school benefits, school admission benefits, things like that. So obviously, I mean, they will have to be different. You can't penalize the poor because they're not at fault. They will have to be taught and taken it. So I agree with that point. Yeah, but no, that awareness time is over for awareness. You see, I have to say what Greta Thunberg said. The house is burning, and I mean, there's a lovely video I'll share with you after this, and please share with your students. So we made a few video with the Fridays for Future International, and now there's fire in the house. And the mother is making, coffee in the mixie. The father's reading a newspaper, and you're walking. Are you going to behave like that when there's fire in your house? When your children are burning or the house is burning, you will be running and taking action. That's what we need to do. Nobody's understanding that every breath right now that we are taking and our children are taking, you're giving them poison. अगर आप घर जाते हैं, आपके your mother is gone somewhere and वो कहे कि वापस आके पूछे स्टाफ से कि तुमने खाना दे दिया बच्चों को, so वो कहेंगे हाँ दे दिया, थोड़ा जहर डाल दिया. How are you going to react? You're going to kill her or him. But that's not what we're doing. We said we're willing to take that poison, so we're willing to take it, so we're getting it. We have to ask, we have to demand action. That's what it is.
But the development model that India adopted after the independence, the big industries, big cities, big buildings, big dams, and then flyovers and roads and metros. So if we are following this kind of model of development, so obviously what will be the impact? The impact will be that we all are seeing. But as an environment, can you suggest what could be the option to this development model if we want to keep our environment intact?
We have to just leave everything alone, sir. That's it. Just leave everything alone for now. We are in an AQI 300 and 250s right now. When we come to an AQI 60, then we talk of, because if we've done that 50 years ago, that was a different time of this thing. Of course, you have to weigh that. People think like metro, for example. You think, oh, it's a wonderful thing that the number of cars are less. We're not even. This is how they play with us. Play with citizens and their minds. That the whole Delhi has dried up because of the metro. They have dug up the undergrounds, and all that reservoir of water has been thrown. The Delhi has dried up because of metro. The aquifers are absolutely dry. So we have paid a very, very big environmental price for that. That cannot be weighed to the number of cars that are being used and all that. Of course, the first best option is to have a world-class public transport system. We've been shouting and screaming and asking for years. So, I mean, I'm just saying that, these are the kind of things. Now, development will mean, yes, if you talk of a good university, or you talk of land spaces and things for schools and education, health, like have more hospitals. We saw that the health system is in such a terrible state. What is development if we don't even have a hospital? We call it. But we are willing to spend on huge infrastructure of the offices in the center of the city, where already there are traffic jams and there's no room and people can't come and go. I live here and I see the East Kidwai Nagar. We were fighting it from day one. That time only in the NGT that slapped the case down. And so I mean, it's such a busy road. The highway is so busy. And then you have those 8,000 homes that have come in, So once they're all taken over, where is the space going to be? So we have to take these offices, these residential pools out into suburbs. That's how from a 15-minute suburbs where I don't have to go beyond 15 minutes. That means my children should have a school here. We go for private education. We should have good schools, good education, good health systems. So we are all, and we have a good, maybe all the encroachments have to be removed. Because if there's cycling or footpath, then it's encroached. It's as simple as that. Nahi mat banao, usko to encroachments hata do. That's what you need to do. So those are very, very simple steps. to be taken. But again, like I say, there's no intent.
I will refer to two important issues. One that you just now raised about the depletion of the underground water. So this is happening. Obviously, there are areas in Delhi wherein the water level has gone much down. Another problem is cutting of the trees, the deforestation basically in Delhi or elsewhere. So can you provide a solution to these problems? If the water tables are going down, will there be a solution to restore that? And also, if the trees are being cut, sometimes the trees have to cut to build something. So there is no solution to that. But then what could be the corrective measures on these two issues?
All these measures, again, what we are talking, Dr. Saxena, are for a time when there's a general talk. Right now, we are living in the most polluted capital of the world. So, in an emergency, when you say ये बंद हो गया और ये बंद करना है या लॉकडाउन है आपको अंदर रहना है, ये वो वाली सिचुएशन है. So जब तक आप AQI 60 नहीं लेकर आएंगे तो आप ना पेड़ काट सकते हैं. अगर कोई पेड़ आपको घर बनाना है, बिल्डिंग बनानी है, you have to go around it. Sorry, there are ways. I mean, the Sarojini Nagar, these young students from School of Planning and Architecture, and they made such beautiful models and sent them. That why we have to cut the trees and why we have to do. They made these models and sent them the architect plans. So everything can be done. There is no such thing. But like you've said, we have to weigh the two: the future of the kids, their health, or we want some trees being cut, or we are happy with this kind of construction. Right now, construction is a very big polluter. The PM10 is a very bad, terrible polluter. Are you willing that, these are all the top doctors of India who are saying this, the director of AIMS, and they're saying, are we willing to see that one child out of the two have lung cancer in the next 2 years? If we are willing that, then it's fine, then do it. I mean, if you think that that's acceptable, but right now it is no way. The state of the city and the country in terms of pollution is very, very bad. They have to work. And those are the bigger plans, like the thermal power plants, like I said, they're violating. So the violations must be stopped. They must take care, ensure that, the vehicles, the BS6 should have come in by now. We should have had the BS6 fuel. That's very less, less of a pollutant than the others. Biomass burning has to go. So now we have so much biomass burning because of the chulhas, because of the wood fire. If you not empower those people, how will they? They are poor. They have to eat. I cannot tell them कि मैं अपनी SUV चलाऊं और मैं अपना AC चलाऊं और तुम खाना मत बनाओ. But we have to find ways of, doing these projects seriously, not only on advertisements and big campaigns, but they must come to the ground and happen. I don't see that it should be that difficult.
So can I ask you about the role of this National Green Tribunal? This has been set up by the government to handle these environment-related issues, and it is seen working very sincerely. But then why the impact is not seen in Delhi and elsewhere in the country?
Yeah, it's not only the NGT, Dr. Saxena. It's not only the NGT. It's basically like I said, the most of the laws. The enforcement is the problem. So where the enforcement is basically the authorities who are responsible for this. So we can file like 1 million contempt cases on them, but still it doesn't work. At this point, that do you know that 14,000 trees are being cut for the metro phase 4, and they're being cut, which is the smallest forest left in Delhi is the ridge. The Horse Rani Ridge, that area. Now you're going to cut 14,000 trees to get the metro. Metro ko rasta bolo, dusra nikale. There's a lot. I'm not just saying it in very simple words. There's a lot of legal work that's happened, but they don't seem to agree with this. We don't understand that we cannot afford to do these mistakes anymore. Aravalis, if you see, the Aravali is a big threat because of mining there and because of deforestation, and that's the only lungs. Because if the Rajasthan dust will come here to Delhi, then you see where we are going to go. You saw in the Mexico, I don't know if you've seen those scenes in this year, Mexico and Savannah and all, they got these huge dust storms because they've cut off all the trees. So there's nothing protecting them, and you couldn't see. The dust storm is so bad for about 18 days, you could not see what was happening in the city. So are we coming to that? I mean, the first time when the protests came and the parents came in 2016, that was the first time when Mr. Kejriwal had just joined, as CM, and about a few days later, and the schools were shut. And that's how the first protest of My Right to Breathe happened, and the parents came. And that was the day you were choking, actually choking. You couldn't breathe. So we are there, we're just there.
Can you prioritize the areas? I mean, where there is maximum pollution, because there are so many factors that we all know. You have been talking about various aspects, but when it is there to prioritize that these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what are the major areas which are responsible for pollution, or particularly air pollution, as you said, in Delhi and NCR?
Yeah, so construction dust, vehicular emissions, the garbage burning, the waste, then also the not even burning, but the waste, the landfills, the unsegregated waste, which are causing the landfill. Then, of course, cutting trees is that's everywhere, deforestation or whatever you can call it, tree cutting for the city. And the thermal power plants, we have so many thermal plants around us in 100 kilometers that are affecting. And of course, stubble burning now, which will be for a few months, that is, comes pretty much on the top. But we have a graph in that the construction dust takes, it's unbelievable, but that takes a lot of pollution blame.
So if I ask you about the solution, though you have been talking about so many things as far as the solution is concerned, and one important thing that you enforced is that enforcement has to be there on whatever laws are there. But otherwise, if I ask you if you can tell us 3, 4 important steps which the government must take immediately to keep a check on pollution.
They have to be everywhere. That's why I said that these kind of SOPs that we are making, the standard operating procedures of this thing of pointing out to violations. As citizens, we can't do much. We cannot be, we all have a life. We are all either studying or we are working and we have a family. So, but everything is online, Everything is online, it's not difficult. So that's why we are putting everything in SOP, that if a tree is being cut, if there's garbage being burnt, or there's construction dust, that somebody is violating, first to know the law. Ab aapko pata hai ki Delhi has if you're constructing, then you do the scaffolding. There's a certain height. No heaps of those sand and badarpur and all that, and dust can be left uncovered. So if any of this is there, it's as easy as complaining it to them, because they themselves say, the CB, the pollution board, they say that, ma'am, aap log itna shor machate ho, 300 complaints to mahine ki lekar aao, aap hamare ko complaints to do. Complaint aayega to wo action karenge na. Jab unko, of course, they should do their job. They are doing some part of it. We cannot sit on a chair and say, wo kuch bhi nahi kar rahe, kuch kar rahe hain. Lekin agar hame violation nazar aati hai, to we must report it. That is extremely important, because if we don't, so when there's inaction, then we can take legal recourses. There is a lot of ways.
So I would like to ask you, since you have been so active in the field of this environment, and you have been moving youth forward to take up certain issues, if you can tell us in brief what all you are doing on this front.
Sorry, Dr. Saxena, my dogs started.
My question is that if you can elaborate on this, or what are the areas wherein you have focused as far as your own activism is concerned, the work that you are doing actually on the ground?
Anything to do with air, anything and everything. So trees, of course, trees is an everyday thing. The last week that we were not able to speak, and it was a crazy week, is basically trees. And so the situation is so bad that now when you want to prune a tree or cut a tree, they are immediately there. The authorities are there, they come and they've given them these, they hire these uneducated contractors. वो अपना वो इलेक्ट्रिक सॉ है उनको देकर भेजते हैं, they come and cut the trees 2 minute में. पहले तो मेहनत लगती थी. But the moment you say that you need some kind of trees infested, or it is bent and it needs to be straightened, it needs help, or some surgery. There's nothing. None of the authorities have that. So that is the kind of a thing. So whether it was tree or whether it's waste management, we are working a lot on waste management, trying to implement. See, these are long battles, like from National Clean Air Plan, when it was first to get it notified, to make sure it came in, to now also National Clean Air Plan is like a toothless tiger. Now the Air Commission has come up, the EPCA is gone, so there are just so many new names they give, but it's the same lot who are doing no work, so everything for thermal power plants as well. Why, everything is easy. I mean, I'll take this opportunity of Dr. Saxena, that I am going to be really troubling you, because I want all the students of the university joining in and learning, and then they don't, we are giving them sample letters, how you write, how you address, it must be polite, how to put it, and I'm sure you give them so much information. And their mass communication, they will help and support. They are so good. I mean, they are superbly intelligent kids who will come forward and support the complete movement. That's how the change is going to happen.
Yeah,
there is no other
in
way.
fact, I mean, not only that you are saying this, our students are also eager, and I've been receiving such questions, and students want to know what exactly should be their role to keep the air clean in their area.
Yeah. So again, I will repeat that. Of course, we have to. What we do. I mean, I gave up my SUV a few years ago. I mean, in spite of fighting for air, I had one, but because it was very less emissions, but still I felt guilty and I gave up at a very crucial time. It's an expensive SUV, but I gave it up, and I mostly use an auto or now in the thing. Otherwise, I was using the metros and this thing. So we have to do those kind of steps, ourselves. What we feel to clean the air. Every person matters. Every step matters. We're saving trees. We plant trees. Don't even plant and do for photo ops and go away. You have to, after 400 trees you plant in a year, there only maybe 70 or 80 that survive, the trees. So it's not so easy. बच्चों की तरह उनको पालना पड़ता है. So it's not that easy. So please, all those steps you have to continue. But for me, I mean, if you ask me, the first and the most important thing is that every aspect that I've mentioned, whether it's biomass burning, waste management, or vehicular or thermal power plants, whatever it is, whatever campaigns are coming your way, wherever you see violations, please report them. That is the most important thing, because when you report them, we get that, because you're reporting, but we know from here in our RTIs and through our things that that this year there were so many violations, there were so many complaints. अभी वो कहते हैं कंप्लेंट नहीं है, सब ठीक है, हम तो बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, सब कुछ ठीक है. So that's exactly, and we are 20 million people in the city. I'm sure we can, make a little change.
So we are living in the digital age, and our students are eager to know, want to know that how this hashtag are important for environmental activism.
I think the students will tell me more. I wish there were students who will tell me more and tell me how to take this forward. It's always been the younger kids who have taken this forward. I have not been, for me, there were names, but they became hashtags and movements so that people connect. When they put a hashtag, any of these hashtags, tree cutting, every day I get Teletrees SOS, at least 8-10 things. My right to breathe is always everything about air. So they're always connecting through hashtags. I think it's a way of connecting. On the Twitter, when you put the hashtag, then you tend to see all the tweets concerning that. So it's a great thing, but I learned from students and kids only. I've got nothing to do with it.
And you refer to Greta, and so I mean, can the same kind of experiments can be replicated here in India by the youth?
It's happening more. So she's not really done any actionable work, but kids are doing fantastic work. I just told you there is a 12th grader. He's just past 12th. Who got this ordinance into the courts, this new air ordinance that has come if you'll Google the new Air Quality Commission, and now it became a law that day it was taken into the parliament. It has come in only, this is a kid who's taken it. So there are many, many kids who are doing fantastic work. They are involved with, it's not about going internationally and speaking in the past, or doing some, photo shoots and these, international media shoots and interviews. That's not what it is. It's about the work. It's a kind of work. There's another child who's taken an oath to plant 1 million trees, and he's a long way he's come, but he's already done 30 lakhs or something. So
okay, so would you suggest that the students should form some kind of pressure groups and should insist on certain such issues?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, sir. Last year, there was this winter, or rather November near Diwali. So Children's Day was declared. That whole week was declared school off for schools because there was too much pollution. So the children, we formed a little campaign, and it was "Bachon ki man ki baat." So there were these lovely postcards, and over 1 lakh postcards were posted to Mr. Modi, and there were such heartfelt messages. If I tell you, from a second grader to a 12th वालों ने तो अपने staple करके इतनी बड़ी-बड़ी चिट्ठियां करके everything. But it was amazing to see that how children were being affected. They are saying that we're not allowed to go out and play, or it was Children's Day, we missed it, we wanted to be in school, or anything random about air, or they were making these drawings. I mean, I'm just saying it could affect anybody at any time. These are the thoughts that really come out. They're natural, they're real. This is what बच्चे कह रहे हैं कि हमें तो बाहर खेलना है, और अभी अब उसमें भी हम जो elite है वो तो कहता है कि चलो अंदर रह लो. अब वो तो बाहर ही है बेचारे, majority लोग तो बाहर ही है, and how will they get access to? So purifiers, smog towers, these are not solutions. These are just commercialization. आपने पानी नहीं साफ करके दे सके हमारे सिटी का, हमारे हाथ में RO दे दिया. This is not the way. हमने ऐसे करके पानी पीते थे जब हम छोटे थे. So why can't we have clean water? Clean water, clean air is a right for our children and them.
But the government has already started this whole tap water mission.
They are saying, yes, let's see, these missions are all so far on lovely, the social media. When it comes in the real science, abhi parson I have a tweet from Northeast Delhi. It's black water coming. We're a long way, but at least they have started. It's fantastic, but wo started tab hoga na jab asliyat mein hoga samne. That's what it is. And they should not talk about 24 hours water and all. That world is over. We should not encourage 24 hours water. Yeah. Everybody should get equal amount of water. It should not be. I know that my staff who was coming in the COVID, from Dur se, Sangam Vihar and all, because we told them don't come, the part-timers, but they were coming only to fill up water. आप कह रहे हो हाथ धो, उनके पास पीने के लिए पानी नहीं है. So I'm diverting from the thing, but anyway, water is also environment.
Oh, okay.
And I'm yeah.
So Bhavreen ji, what will be the final message that you want to give to our students?
I just love the youth, and I just have my hopes are only on them, at least personally. I mean, I don't think anybody can come call me into any kind of thing right now. I'm in a crazy situation with some, major litigation. But I'm here only because I want every word. Maybe कुछ थोड़ा सा भी effect हो जाए कि हाँ देखो Bhavreen ने ऐसे किया, मैं भी ऐसे करूँ और हम करें, या मेरी support. I'm here. Please share my any social media handles, my phone number, anybody who needs it. Please, you can connect with me at any time to save any environmental project that you need and you have help. We'll give you full support as volunteers. I also call myself a volunteer. That's all. We're all volunteers, and we are here only to help ourselves. There's nothing more. So wow. I wish that the kids will just take this, very, very seriously. The environment health nahi hoga to kuch bhi nahi hoga aage.
So that is how we move towards the conclusion of this program. We are really grateful to you, Madam Bhavreen Kandhari, to spare so much time and to talk all about that which really makes sense and which is the most vital thing in our life for each one of us, because we all, as you said, we all have a right to clean air. We all have a right to have a dignified life, to have a better life, to have a life which is free from ailment, which is free from diseases. We all have a right to have something which we deserve as a citizen of an independent and democratic country. And since this whole series has been organized as part of this whole independence year celebration, so obviously we have to think how can we achieve this task, and we all have to join hands to achieve what we want to achieve. So thank you very much for you, to be with us in this session. Thank you to all those who are there in this session and who have been listening to Madam Kandhari so patiently. And if we all can learn something from this lecture, that will be really a benefit to us all. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saxena, Dr. Bala, and Abhishek. Tina's, I think, left. And I really appreciate, all your time and bringing me here. And I'm totally, absolutely. And I'm, like I said, I'm right here to always, and anything that I can help the students with, always would love to be part of it. Actually, again, in an action forum, not talking. We'd love to help some real-time action that is needed. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you.
The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects. Nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill we are sure to get here.